Hey, so I'm Grant Kilpatrick, and this is my case study speech for Dr. Becker. And let's get started. So, my case study was titled Farmville Future, CAFOs, and Contamination. And it was written by Stephanie L. Luster Teasley and Rebecca L. Ives in conjunction with the National Center for Case Study Teaching and Science, and it was published on June 20th of 2013. So, this was a really interesting case study. It took place in Farmville County, North Carolina. And the main issue in the case was that people were having to decide on CAFO regulations. And so a CAFO stands for a Controlled Animal Feeding Operation, and it is defined by the National Association of Local Boards of Health in Bowling Green, Ohio, as an operation of that takes care of food animals, and they keep them in a common place, and the animals are tended for the end result of meat, milk, or eggs. And so pretty much the people in this case study, the community members, this included farmers and non-farmers and just people in the community, in a rural community, had to decide to allow one of the swine CAFOs in the county to expand from 8,500 pigs to 13,500 pigs. And the proponents, or the proponents of the expansion cited um, job opportunities. That's a lot of animals to begin with, but to add that many animals is going to take you're going to need a lot more people for that. So it's going to be job opportunities. And then that would also feed into tax revenues for the county and to work on things like roads and all that. But the proponents did find some health or some environmental issues related to the operations. And so really those boiled down to contamination from animal waste. And being in the ag community, I've kind of feel like I can explain this pretty good. But a lot of those operations, whether it be a feedlot, a chicken house, or a hog house, have systems for to get rid of the waste. Mainly on the chicken houses and the feedlots, they go in and manually get the waste out and then spread it over a field. But in those hog houses, they have little septic systems that lead into a pond, or also known as a lagoon, where the waste is kind of works like a septic tank. But anyway, those waste are typically collected and put out on pastures and cropland as fertilizer. And in a good environment with good handling, that does not cause a problem. But in this case, there was obviously some contamination going on. And in one of the meetings, they had it was a town hall meeting, and they had the community members talking about whether they were for it or against it because they're going to have to vote on it. And the opposition did raise concerns about water quality and wildlife things and stuff like that. But the biggest thing was the effect on the human population. And they had a lot of people talk about their water quality was low, or they had nasty water making them sick. And there was some individuals, like I think a woman had a child with asthma that was having issues, and a man who was having some heart issues and they were all believed to be linked to low air quality. But they actually had a lady in the community named Hallie Knoll, and they talked about in part five. We had titled "We Have to Do Something," where they found E. coli in the water. And for human consumption water, you're not supposed to have any E. coli. And for recreational use water, there's a threshold. But the E. coli colonies in the drinking water were like there was 1 million colonies in a half cup of water, and that's a little bit high. And they were linking it back to contamination from fecal waste. And really, the community was going to have to decide on they were going to have to vote on whether to allow that operation to expand or not from 8,500 pigs to 13,500 pigs. But this case study really just highlighted the just kind of some of the contamination stuff when things go bad with E. coli and Listeria and Giardia. But and then there was some testing done in another place that was not in this particular community, but there was some issues with contamination and E. coli. I think there was an article written by a K double in 2011 that was put in the Oprah magazine talking about contamination based on fecal waste. So it is definitely an issue, but it's a very complex issue, and I thought this was an interesting case study, eye-opening. I think there's definitely more to it, but I think it just showcased some of the issues we can have. But like I said, it's like opening a can of worms, so it was definitely an educational case study. So thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something.